got delayed at my meeting this morning, but I'm here.
Okay. Well,
And I
well,
hear you
good.
talking about Dell Goodwin,
Yeah.
my
Well,
mentor.
right. Well, I got, I wanted to give you a little plus. I got your book and I started reading through it and I realized, my gosh, this was a very liberal time. I mean, we all say that about the 60s, but and so I asked about Dell Goodwin since you guys both brought him up and it's in your reference in the book. It's like it sounds like he set the trend and let you guys loose. And here's what we got. Or something like
So
that.
he changed my life as a teacher. No question. My first year, I was asked by the principal to select textbooks for my ninth grade class, et cetera, et cetera. And then Dell says to me in the spring of that year, design a course for the eighth grade and do it your way. So I started doing that and never stopped in 50 years.
Hold that
Because
thought. Hold that thought for a second. So what I gleaned so far, there's a difference between eighth and ninth grade that I wouldn't have imagined. I think,
big difference.
yeah, besides the hormones and everything else, it's like ninth grade above, you're kind of on a track and you have textbooks and you kind of like got to lock in to an extent. Whereas it sounds like there was a lot more freedom with eighth grade that you could set a curriculum, but you could expand pretty much how you want to do it. And you did the Soviet, South American, South African, and you had a Soviet day. I mean, these are extraordinary things that I don't think could
Yeah.
happen again.
Well, I did, and also I had 12th graders that year too, those 2 years, 3 years, and I stopped that. And I created those courses too in the 12th grade, economics and Russian stuff. And because basically to be a teacher, you don't want to be a deliverer. You don't
Right,
want to pass on making a textbook chapters your curriculum
right.
and just passing on that information because there's much more information to be gleaned, not only with yourself, but from your students.
Well, it
And that
sounds like that's your theme. That is your theme. You're co-learning, right? In essence.
has to be, yeah, because I learn more from my kids, I think, and they learn from me, I feel. So,
So how does that? So we were talking with Murph before. He's giving me a little. Now that all these names started to lock in, and I'm getting these a reassembly of what it was like. Um, and I always thought that Murph was kind of a maverick from my experience, and then just listening to him afterwards. Were you guys influencing each other? Were you like influenced by Dell? I know Dell was a big figure in yours, but it sounds like there was a pot boiling, and he might have been the boiler. I don't know.
well,
Yes.
Dell picked Murph to be department chairman. And I said, right, Murph?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
That was
thought
a
maybe I
that
could
was
be
a
department
mistake.
chairman, but that never happened. I don't know. Dell was quite something.
How long was Dell there? I don't remember him.
He was there. Well, I forget how long he lasted, Murph.
They asked earlier and I don't remember.
I think he was in his 60s, and I know he took over. I was Bill Zimmerman, the superintendent, appointed me to be head of a federal program that raised money from the federal and state governments. I raised over $250,000 for museum program, for a psychiatric program, for a social studies program run by Dale Goodwin, and a science program run by Barbara Regal Barnes. And the program facilitated regional help for schools to improve instruction. And Dell, for example, arranged the Robert A. Taft Institute to come to Dartmouth, where teachers could go for dinner once a week for a certain amount of time and to learn about government from professors. And it was really quite, I mean, the museum program that we had going with Dorcas Chaffee and Robert Chaffee, the museum program was full of Dartmouth Wilson Museum was full of stuff. And we got museum boxes and we sent them to schools. So kids in school could look at real artifacts and learn from them. And it was quite the time. And then
Mhm.
Dell took that over. But then I left town in '69 for a couple of years and I came back. I don't know what happened with Dell in that time. I just don't know. I wish I did. I know he moved to another part of town. He divorced Tensley, his wife. He had a real fancy house on Ferry Road, and he was living out in the apartments on Lime Road. That's the last I knew of him, and I'm really sad I never got a chance to say goodbye, actually,
Mm.
because he
I
was
think that's where he
essential,
died.
huh?
I think that's where he died.
Yeah, I think it was, but I don't know when. Do you know when? I don't even
No.
remember. I probably could look it up in the Valley News. I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Google him.
Let me interject here for a second. One of the things that is, I think, very significant, first of all, Paul Petrick, he went out and he had hired Frank, he hired me. That's Williams. This is Wesleyan. Dave Ford was from Amherst.
Amherst, and I was also from Wesleyan Murph.
Yep,
Oh,
graduate school. And then we had John Hutchins in biology from Yale, and we had Bill Cogswell from Dartmouth, and we had Ford Daly from Dartmouth. Uh, this was a cast of players that when I start talking about innovation, renovation, these were young, bright people who were ready to run with a lot.
Yeah.
If you go today and you're on a hiring committee, the chances of, and I think it's largely because student debt, the chances that you're going to get somebody applying for a job from an elite school is slim.
I agree.
very.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So for me on the outside, trying to relearn your environment for your 62 to 69, I'm amazed how young you guys were. I speak to both of you, Murph 23 when he started, and you 24 a year later starting. And, it just seems like Murph just covered it. You're such a trendsetter. I look at, jumping ahead, I look to your Soviet day, and the stuff you were teaching, but do you think that could happen again? Certainly, Murph, you can give to the contemporaneous, but so what happened? Why can't we do that? That was profound. And also, why don't you tell me about that? Because you go into the book. I mean, don't you think that was profound? I think that was amazing.
Well, the students just took over that day. It was like the reporters really did research. The characters who played Khrushchev and Stalin and Marx did their research, and the professors who were teaching class did their research. And I don't know how that actually really came about, and I don't know why I actually did it, but I know it was. I look back at it, it was like it was all them. What I did is I had a Miranda camera and took pictures and watched. I really did. I don't think I did a thing that day except make sure that we timed right and all that. But other than that, I didn't teach anything. I didn't lecture anything. I didn't talk about anything. They did it all. And
Would they do? Perform a play?
No, they had a whole day of being a Soviet classroom. They came in with uniforms and red scarves and sat in desks that were set in pairs and raised the right hand at the elbow. They behaved like Russian kids, and it was like incredible.
So this is after studying, by the way. I mean, this is the course, kind of a culmination of the course, and it's like when you look at, I said the third iteration, they taught Marxist socialism. Think how that would go. Russian history would probably go. Communism in the Soviet Union. Talks about Del Goodwin again, jumping down. They all read the Communist Manifesto.
Yep.
And they talked about Marx, and so Soviet day, they came in as character and they stayed that way for the course of the day. It was like, can you imagine? So could that happen again, Murph? I mean, could you say, hey, this is what we're doing? And I think I'm so impressed. I am so impressed. Envious, actually. Sorry.
Well, there was a day, extended day, when we got held up by the then William Loeb Manchester Union, and we were referred to as Bedlam City.
I remember that.
So we were attacked. But we were attacked. If somebody got in the Trump atmosphere and wanted to go after me or Frank, it could get dirty.
Right? Wow. So you too were singled out. I mean, it was more than a coincidence. You strike the same profile in many ways.
One of the things that I made it into the Manchester Union Leader because he took a picture of my bulletin board. My bulletin board was comparing W.E.B. Du Bois with Booker T. Washington. And because I didn't say, or it was a kid's poster, because it didn't say that W.E. Du Bois went to Europe as a communist. Therefore, I must have been suspect as
Oh,
a
geez.
teacher. But
Yeah.
it didn't go
The,
further.
the only feedback I ever got was coming back for a reunion at Hanover a few years ago when they invited a lot of alumni from a lot of classes, and I happened to be in town. And a couple of my former students said, "You know, Mr. Thoms, a lot of us thought you were a communist." And I said, "Well, I wondered why no one ever came after me, what I was doing. I was clearly not following New Hampshire social studies protocol." And but I wondered if Del Goodwin protected me. I had no idea. Maybe nobody did. Maybe they just thought, "Oh, Tom's is kind of a lunatic, but he's not going to hurt anybody because he doesn't know shit from Shinola. So let him do it." But I don't know. I mean, I never
But
heard.
how do you feel something like that would be received today? Would it be allowed?
I don't know if I could. I don't know if I would do that today because Soviets, different thing. But I think if I were in the classroom still, and I keep thinking about it, but as I keep telling Murph, I've had my turn. I would still try to be dealing with reality, and that was reality. That's the
Right.
way the Soviets lived their lives. That's the way they went to school. That's how they did school. That's how they, I mean, as far as I knew it, and I went there and actually taught there and found out some different things, but I wasn't that far off in terms of spirit. No.
Let me add a layer just to the Soviet thing. We have a few other issues that go on just in Hanover. So students created a mimeograph. We don't do that anymore. A newspaper named Iskra, which is named after Lenin's infamous paper. So we're 44 years after the revolution. They now are staying. I mean, it wasn't just a day. They went on and they made this kind of school newspaper, to drive the point home. That's so impressive. And he goes on at length about this. I mean, it wasn't just a flash in the pan.
You should have been there, Carl.
Well,
what was the response to that? It's like, oh, these guys are off doing their esoteric stuff, or it's like we're going to start marching to,
Well, I took the kids, I took Khrushchev, Stalin, Marx, Lenin, etc., to Lebanon Junior High School, and we did a panel with my Iskra reporters asking questions to the kids' role, and the kids in the Lebanon school were just like, "What the fuck is going on here?"
Really?
Great.
When we came back, I don't think we made a dent of an impression, except those people in Hanover must be crazy. That's what I thought.
That's probably when William Loeb got called.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
William Loeb never bothered me, so I don't
Okay.
know because but a Manchester Union reporter did name me teacher in the Rye when I was in Leningrad. So I had my contact with them, but it was very positive contact. Keith Sharon was very positive about my teaching English in Soviet Union at the time. So that's my only contact with the paper.
I tried to get first of all, the school council and then the staff to not condone the actions of our president. And I failed at each level. And there was no study done, but I did have people say, "I can't support you, Bill. I've got a wife and kids."
Wow.
So I
Wow.
think that's different.
Well, I want to move on to another chapter that you both can talk about. So this is back in the time in which ABC existed, which is a better chance to school for inner city kids to come up and participate. So that's right, you had a panel. I don't know who was the instigator. I'm thinking it was you,
Me.
Frank, right? Okay. You had a panel about discrimination. It was after they watched the movie or the 60 Minutes. I'm not quite sure which it was. Was it Nation Divided? But it was about
Yeah.
discrimination, and you had 2 days. You had 2 days for that. That's amazing. What did you come up with? It sounds extraordinary. So I'm picturing um, it's a much tamer form of that I experienced. We had some sort of community talks there, but that sounds extraordinary because you had what you talked about was upper track and lower track students, and you gave them both separate time. And I thought that was impressive because you had the comfortable white kids, will say, that live locally. They were saying, so why do we still need to talk about reparations, more or less? It's still a current conversation. And then you had those who are ABC by, saying, no, it's still. And so what do you do with that information, and where do you think we are now on that? I think that was amazing.
Well, it started with in the fall, we had two. I arranged with Rolly Miller, who was a flexible principal, I would say at the time. Murph might agree with that. I suggested that we have two fall seminars for seniors. One with Father Blaise Bontain, who was from Guatemala against the war in Vietnam, and one with, I forget the kid's name now, in Hanover, who fought in Vietnam. So we had two separate assemblies for seniors to mull over that issue. And then I said to myself, Del Goodwin has changed the curriculum and it's really good, but Hanover is pretty isolated and we need to get engaged in the national issue. And Dartmouth acquired the NBC film on discrimination in housing. And so these days you can get them really quickly, but then you couldn't. So I arranged with Rolly that we could have a senior seminar for three different days, 2 days in the library, and he agreed. And so the first day we had the film that we all saw together, and then the kids broke up into small groups and had discussions, and there were, each group had a recorder. The recorder recorded the discussions, and then they gave them to me, and I put together a magazine called Discrimination, passed out the next day. Big time. It was really amazing that we did that with mimeograph, of course. And the next day we had a panel with the superintendent, with Robert Feldmesser of Dartmouth, with an ABC student, and a couple other people, I forget who was. And we talked about the film and discrimination, and some of the responses that kids made in the book, you can see it. Were like, if I were an ABC student, I would just cringe. Maybe we should make schools for blacks that can get them to work rather than, and here they are, these bright 5 kids in our school, black, knocking the socks off the school. But so people didn't quite get it. But anyway, it worked out. And I just wonder what impact that had on kids. And I wonder, now they're in their 70s, do they have any memory of things like that and where they are? Because I think the same issues are still happening.
I think 100%.
Culture changes so slowly. It's just ridiculous.
I agree. What I was impressed with in reading that is just what you said. Is like the white kids, whatever, I mean, the townies, you might say. I would have been one of them, meaning that's where I lived, is that they could have that opinion and so unabashedly say that with no hint of apology of, excuse me, I'm going to say this. It was like, no, of course I'm going to say this. And then you had, when you had the ABC or primarily the black kids, got their chance to speak equally, saying, no, it's a big deal. Our environment is a lot different. I mean, I was just so impressed that both sides could exist and have that at a high school level. I mean, it was almost incendiary they're that close. I mean, they're very oppositional and strong opinions.
I gave Murph credit for bringing up the school about discrimination in the school. And he took some kids to his classroom and the other kids stayed back with me. And they just went at each other. The kids from the hinterlands, Norwich, with the in-town kids about discrimination in the school. And they were fed up with how they were treated. And they got angry. And I said, wow, I didn't realize it was going to hit this nerve, which was much deeper to them than discrimination, which was an outside thing to most white kids in Hanover. But not the school issue. They really felt that they were being pushed aside. And it was really right, Murphy. You must have the same kind of discussion in your room.
One of the best things that Hanover High School has had in my tenure is the ABC program.
Yep.
And either the session that Frank is talking about or something similar, I invited them to the room, and what I remember out of it is the kids from Lyme. At that time, the state of New Hampshire said that the local town is only responsible for the state average tuition. So if you wanted to come to Hanover from Lyme, your parents had to pay something.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so these kids are sitting in the room with the ABC kids who are getting everything paid. And that generated a lot of discussion.
Oh, boy.
Mhm.
Wow.
But
Yep.
there are any number of times I can tell you one of the situations was the basketball team. Donnie, I think his name was Donnie Young. Uh, he was black, and the kid said, "You ought to be lucky that we're giving you the opportunity for this education." And his response was, "You ought to be lucky that I'm playing for you so you can win some games." And
So
and
But
there
didn't
was
Lyme pay the tuition for Lyme kids? Didn't the town pay for that?
every year it was a debate, and eventually they pay the tuition. But at that time, they only paid the state average. So if you wanted to come, you had to pay some money.
Yeah.
So as the next townie here and learning the history here, and if I was have any influence in the school, I say I would revisit this particular experience, redo it exactly, and I mean, if anybody from the Illinois came forward, I think to revisit the time and since you have it so documented and to go forward, what has changed, what hasn't changed would be really valuable. You know,
You should
Murph?
talk to Bob Keene while he still is alive. He and Gene Keene, who was for many years the librarian out at the Ray School, they hosted an ABC student, and the Dr. Keene's a dentist, and if you're going to eat in his house, you are going to eat good food.
Yeah,
And the one that he was hosting, that's not the food with which she was accustomed.
right.
And to a certain extent, that was not the style of life. And so eventually she asked for another host parent, which I think you have to realize that we have black students in school. We've always had black students in school, but they are largely a Hanover black student. These kids come from Jersey City or
Mhm.
someplace else.
Yep.
They have different food, they have different music, they have different clothing, they have different styles. And so there is a friction that rubs up there. But in the case of the Keens, they regained contact with that girl, and they went out to California for what her graduation, her kids going to school, and it was a very touching
Wow.
or step godparents. So in that case, it worked out. Now I can go on with other examples like that if you want, or if you want to.
Well, I'm thinking that if I was a high school kid now that was, looking for, intellectual stimulation and to sort of say, hey, there was a seminar we had to watch this movie, they could watch that movie, but this is now about commenting on the commenters of the time, and you might still have some of those people. If not, it's sort of to revisit what has changed, what hasn't. I mean, to have somebody sort of have a conversation around with current students about what hasn't changed. Are we slipping backwards? Have we gained something? I think that's a valuable thing to reflect on because there's so much effort in that particular and the ABC and all these other things and the ABC doesn't exist now.
It does. I think it does exist. They tell me it does exist,
Okay.
but not the way that it was set up with Dartmouth acting as the prep school and funding
Mhm.
the kids out. Um,
Were
what
we
was
the
it?
only high school? Were
Were
we
we
the
the only
only
high
high
school?
school in the program?
No, no, and I can tell you stories about that. But let me finish off with this
Mhm.
one.
Mhm.
Uh, I forgot it. I'll go with the high school. Lebanon wanted an ABC students and an ABC house. You have an ABC house. Our ABC house was over off of Park Street,
Yep. Yep.
And
I remember where it was, right by the
Just
tennis
being,
courts.
yep,
yeah,
exactly.
yes,
Yep.
yes. And so they won one down Lebanon, and Lebanon gave them all sorts of grief because of a traffic issue. And there was people who know Lebanon athletics know the Vanier family. And the father, Gil Vanier, gets up and he says, "You mean if I wanted to take my boys, who were stars in all the sports,
Hmm.
and move into that house, you would give me the same grief that you're giving because these kids are black?" And that sort of
Stop.
killed things. And
Nice. Nice.
Hartford was Native Americans, and that we don't seem to have the same feeling. My assumption is if we're out on the West Coast and we're dealing with Native Americans, we will get friction. If we're dealing with Native Americans here, everybody loves Native Americans, and so there wasn't the same
No.
friction that.
Yeah.
Woodstock.
Oh,
Woodstock had an ABC
the thing,
program.
excuse me before I forget it. The thing that you were talking about as a townie, there was friction between townies and Emmets, or whatever you want to call the kids from Etna and Hanover Center. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was sensitive to that. Yep.
so
It came
we
up at our
had some
reunion too.
frictions before that. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No, there was an ABC program in Woodstock also.
Yes.
And I mean, I know where the ABC house is. It's now a sort of a halfway house type thing. Um, but I can't remember what kind of students because I wasn't in school over there. I moved over there literally 2 days after I graduated Hanover. But um, I can't remember if it was blacks or I want to say there was some Mexicans even, but I don't know.
Hmm.
So it was a pretty widespread program.
I'll tell you a story. Once upon a time, and Frank will know this because he got kidnapped the second year. So I got kidnapped, and this, I don't know what year it was, but I got
Hal-
kidnapped
On
Halloween.
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 Yep.
This is a real kidnapping, Bill?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
Wait till you hear my story after
Okay.
My
his.
brother was involved.
Thanks a lot. Nice guy. I had a student teacher who was the Dartmouth student who was the advisor tutor for the ABC and lived in the ABC house. And I made the stupid thing of having a World Affairs meeting the Halloween night. Why would I do that? But I'm in the big room at the 201 or whatever it was with the kids, and I hear the rattling of chains and the people are gathering down at the end of the hall, and I say, "Oh my golly, here we go again." So I get kidnapped, but McCurran, he ducks out the back door and he goes over to the ABC house. So they fussed around with me for a while and they didn't know what to do. And eventually,
So, and so you were taken from the school and where? Or just kept on location or what?
in this case, I was taken to WDCR and they were going to announce my kidnapping, but DCR fortunately did not uh, go along with it. So they didn't know what they were going to do next.
Oh,
And so they brought me back to school with with an English teacher. Uh, what was his name? Manderson. But
Ernie Manderson.
yes, in any case, once they dropped me, they said, let's go after McCurran. So they went over to the ABC house. They knock on the door, and guys from Jersey City, uh, they say, the Hanover kids, where's McCurran? We want to kidnap him. And they say, oh, this is going to be fun. That's his room down there. And so they go and they more or less break into his room. And the second they broke into his room, he slugged him. He hit him. And
Wow.
that broke the spell. They said, you're not playing the game. You're not doing this fair. And the evening was more or less over. But the next day in class, he says to the class, he says, "You don't understand. I grew up in Chicago, and you are only as good as your reputation, and your reputation is largely determined by your fists. You came onto my territory. I had nothing other than to hit you, and so I did. Be aware of that. There's some differences in our cultures." And
Well,
Oh, all right,
when I
Frank.
got when I got kidnapped next year, I think it was, from my little apartment on West Street.
Can we date this? Where are we in time?
We're in 1963 or four, I think, something like that.
Okay, all right.
And I'm in my little apartment, and the door's knocking. Peggy, somebody, and others they grabbed me, and they took me to Forey Branch's house. And the Forey Branch was the football coach and the
Yeah.
guru and all that. And they wanted me to do some confession to him or Barbara. Barbara Branch's wife was the one they probably were targeting. And all of a sudden, I bolted. And I ran behind Branch's house, which is above Mink Brook. And I went down the bank. It was a steep bank of leaves, and I started sliding, and I slipped, and I went down. And as I slipped, I went under a wire that was stretched across tight.
Ooh.
That if I had been running, I would have been, I don't know, I don't know, I could have been killed.
Wow.
It was like I slipped and fell, and I stopped, and I screamed at the kids, "Don't come after me. Stay safe." And that's the last thing I remember about that night. I don't remember how I got home or anything else about it, but that was so frightening because I happened to slip and the wire just went right over my head. I could see it, feel it.
Wow.
And it could have been a real disaster for anybody.
Those days, that was pasture land down there.
I'll tell you, it was sliding down. I was getting halfway down the hill to the brook, and because I decided I'm not going to put up with this shit, so I just ran away.
So
I remember the year they kidnapped my brother's class. They kidnapped Mr. Simpson, and I was trick or treating.
Stinson, Paul Stinson, the guidance counselor.
No, wasn't there a Simpson who was an English teacher?
No, not
No.
Simpson.
I remember that name. It was like that name. But anyways, and when Betty Lozier and I were trick or treating, as we came home on Hovey Lane, they were tying him to the street sign on the corner of our lawn.
Wow.
And of Hovey and Ledger Lane, and it scared us. We didn't know what was going on. That we backtracked and walked a mile around town to get home the other direction, to go back down Main Street and up Ledger, or where McClary's lived there. Can't remember what it turned, Hovey Lane to something down below Buell Street, and because we were so scared, but what we saw, we didn't know what was going on. But
what was the objective of all these? Was it just fun, or is there something political? I'm not.
I think it was fun for them. Don't you, Murph?
yeah,
it was this is another one of the things that bothers me. I am notorious at school because I have an intense dislike for the game of assassin.
Yeah, I was waiting for that.
But they all say it's tradition, Mr. Murphy, and it's fun. Well, this kidnapping was a tradition, and they considered it fun. I give Ford Daly credit for stopping it. He got them together and said, "You're well." What happened was they surrounded Jim Rittervaugh's house, a elder social studies teacher with kids, and said, "Jim, come on out. We want you, Jim." And the family was scared.
traumatized.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so, no, tradition, or call it what you will, fun, it's got to stop. And so it stopped.
Is the assassin still going?
It's Assassin's still going.
That's such
What is the assassin?
That's so stupid.
What is it?
Yeah.
It's a game that goes, it actually there probably are some assassins in your neighborhood, in your high school. It is around the country. The senior class, it's called Senior Assassin in some places. they divide up into teams. Um, Often they put up money to get into the game. I was talking to somebody yesterday
Mm.
who thinks I overdo it, except that he's getting upset that there's so much money tied up in the game to the winner. You have squirt guns, and what you are to do is to shoot your the opponent teams, and the last team standing gets the pot. And the school says not on school grounds. Teachers say it's a bad idea, but they just think it's tradition and it's fun. So they're all around town. I can, as anecdotes are, the guy is hanging off the roof overlooking Boloco in the alley, waiting for the guy to come out of Boloco. Somebody goes into, I think it was Murphy's restaurant, and nails the guy sitting with his family at the dinner
Oh my
table.
God.
The mother drives her truck up against the porta potty to keep the girl in the porta potty till the son or daughter, whoever it was, can get back with her squirt gun. Somebody, I think, was in the garbage can so that when the person came out in the morning, they got shot. They were trying to one team was trying to run away, and the other team was driving a car across the golf course in its condition now when the police stopped them. Uh, it is just loaded with stories like that. And I never particularly liked it, but I really got up. What really got me upset is the kids had a walkout at Hanover High School. They said, we are walking out of the last period class against gun violence. And they walked out, and that was the featured front page article on the school newspaper. The second page was, oh, aren't we having fun with the game of assassin, telling some of these stories. And the kid that was hanging off the roof, I said, you realize that we just had an
Yeah.
assassin out in Chicago or Highland Park, wherever it was, shoot up a holiday parade from a rooftop. Somebody is going to go by. There are so many people these days who are carrying guns. Somebody's going to be walking by and see somebody hanging out with what looks like a gun and say, I'm going to be the hero, bang, bang.
Mm.
And we're going to say, oh, aren't we sorry that we didn't end this tradition?
Wow.
I
That's
didn't
a lot.
realize it was national. I thought it was just Hanover.
It's all over.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sounds like a TikTok thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So back to Frank and his story.
To let me finish
Go
that,
ahead.
because of uh, one of the things I say, you can't expect that to be going on in inner city New York, Boston, Chicago,
Right.
something like. No, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But they probably are playing in the suburbs.
Yeah, I agree. So Frank, you'll be coming back for future conversations, I hope, with greater punctuality.
Well, I'm sorry about that.
You know.
We went on today, and I just got home and the phone rang, and I said, "Oh, I know what's going on." So I quickly changed my shirt, and here I am.
That's okay. I've seldom have had the privilege of scolding somebody older than
You
me,
can
but
scold me all
there
you
you go.
want. I'll
But
take it. I'll
but
take it.
but my thought was so I purposely just focused on the Hanover section. I do want to do the Soviet and the English Oxfordshire separately as well. But my question would be to both of you guys, cut from the same cloth, what can you transfer to the future being now that you learned then? And it's not so much you've served your time. I mean it's like there are some how I read this is like some lessons that can easily be put forward without a huge curriculum redevelopment, even if it's on a seminar basis that would be mind-blowingly progressive and not progressive, effective, at least challenging. What would they be? I know you think that way, Murph, and I know that it's like,
The best thing that if I on my tombstone, it can say he taught the research paper, the Dell Goodwin, to make the circle back to Dell,
mhm.
the Dell Goodwin research paper. If every kid uh, could be exposed to that, if every kid in the country could be exposed to that, I think we would have far fewer national debates and fighting among people. I think it provided an excellent way of thinking. And and to go along with that, he had a uh, social studies handbook. And if you want to write a book review, you can do a straight book review, or you can do a commentary book review. That he had that done. He had the writing sequence, uh, and I'll still go back to the criteria-based Del Goodwin research paper.
Okay, that's good.
This morning I read two things. One is about a company I'm sorry I don't have the name in my head, that is setting up robotic teachers with students having guides instead of teachers, and for 2 hours a day they can learn as much as they can in a full day, blah 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 blah. Then I read a piece by a Stanford graduate who will be graduating this June, a kid who came into Stanford, and in his freshman year in November, ChatGPT arrived. And his whole career at Stanford was radically changed because of ChatGPT. A lot of kids cheated, a lot of students. And what he said, which is what I've been saying a lot, if you get your work done by ChatGPT, you are not using your mind, you are not developing your thinking, you are not becoming a knowledgeable person. And I visualize kids going through school in high school using AI for all their papers. And when they graduate, who are they? What have they become?
I agree.
What can they contribute because of that? So my argument is the classroom is a sacred place now. I haven't said it that way, but it is, because you close that door and you leave AI outside, and you just have, and no Chromebook sitting in front of the kids. Forget that. That means you're done as a teacher. Those books are open. What can you imagine what they're looking at? Even they could be looking at porn for all you
Right,
know.
right.
So the classroom then becomes a group of human beings, being human with each other, listening to each other, looking at each other face to face, sensing each other's presence, listening and wrestling with ideas that are human. Human beings created AI, but they don't have to say to AI, now do me as a human being. I'm saying the biggest issue is to keep humanity alive in schools, and that is keeping AI outside the door, keeping Chromebooks out of the classroom, phones out of the school, so it's all human to human contact. And that to me is the possible saving grace, but I'm not sure that it's ever going to win, because the digital connection for people is very, very strong, extremely strong. And kids starting at 4 years old looking at pads like my iPad right in front of me, and being engaged with that and not engaged with their own exploration of touching something that they can say, I mean, what is this? You don't have that. It's just a little screen that you look at, and if you don't like it, you go to another one and another
Right,
one and another
right.
one. So
Yeah.
that's my little message.
That's a great message. So is some of that achievable, Murph?
Amen.
You're in, or is some of that achievable, Murph?
What's that?
Is some of that achievable, like the Chromebooks out of the classroom?
Well, we got the devil's device, the phone,
Yeah.
out of the classroom, so we can do that. I think in my case, uh, I might be able to get away with it. I teach the basic kids, and I might be able to. I would support Frank if he's saying get him out of put him in the library or something like that. If you got to do research, go on and do them. But I, I get myself in an argument with people, and there was a radio program. I wish I had called. Uh, but do you feel threatened for your job? I don't because I'm not a young fella. Uh, but I think at Frank's example of the school that is being set up to go in and sit in front of a TV set, uh, that's there's going to be more of that. And
Yep.
Frank
Much
said,
more.
I am repeating, yes, that's a danger. Um, I think that if you take a look at charter schools, there's a big push for charter schools, and I cannot believe that the people who are sitting unregulated, by the way, at home teaching in the charter school have the command over all of the academic programs. So I will bet my paycheck that they're relying upon AI generated lessons in, you name it, government, biology, world language, whatever. And so it's already happening. If those kids weren't being homeschooled or uh, charter schooled, they'd be in public schools and we would have more of a face-to-face relationship. So it's starting and it's cheap. I think that's what the New Hampshire taxpayer, as they may not admit it, but I think that's what they have in mind when they say, let's have an educational freedom account so you can take that money where you want to. You can go and charter school it. Well, that means that they don't have to pay the $20,000 or $25,000, whatever it is, to educate each student. It's a cheap way out. So, no, I worry very much, and I'm with Frank. It's a humanistic. There is something in my past that says that education is, I want to say, Mark Hopkins on one side of the log
Thank you, Bill, for Williams College, Mark Dawkins. Thank you.
and the student at the other end of the log.
Well, the idea of public school, any kid that walked into my classroom could walk into my classroom. If Lisa Lyons had cerebral palsy, she came in, she could sit there. Hank Silvert would have had serious mental issues because of an accident, could sit there. And all these other kids could come in, kids from the hinterlands, kids from doctors' sons and lawyers and professors. They're all in the room together. And they were welcome there. And if you go to Texas, more money is spent on vouchers for parents not to send their kids to public school, but to schools that are exclusive, that don't have democracy. And if American democracy depends, I think, on public schools, and if public schools disappear, it's one more step of the disappearance of democracy. That's what I feel.
I agree. I agree. All right, let me bring this to a close, but I would love to start building on the idea of an education a Zoom call with these inputs. We can get other teachers too that have been on and will be interested. I think that would be, I mean, it's the meat of it, and I think it's important and it's a good conversation to have. Any thoughts there, Bill?
Uh, when I think about, yes, let's do it. When I think about it, I think about three things. One is IEPs, talking about dealing with special needs kids these days. That's a topic. The other one is Title IX. The change in gender education is significantly different. So we've got IEPs and TV and technology. And so we touched on technology today, but those are major challenges to education today.
You know, if you were to have this conversation, but I don't know the current principal at Hanover, how would that go over? I mean, just from the gut, Bill, do you think that they'd be would they be against it for it? Would they be even participate?
Oh, I think that they would participate.
Oh, good,
Yeah, I think they
good.
would.
I'm impressed with you, Carl, taking an interest in something that is maybe not in your bailiwick, but you understand how important it is. And you want to get, and this is a small, tiny group. You never know what'll happen
I agree.
with what we're doing. So keep at it.
I will. Well, I mean, we were starting to, I mean, Frank, I'm glad you're here. And I'm glad you wrote what you wrote. And I obviously go through it line by line. But I think it's something that needs to be talked about because I feel, I don't think it's just me. I think Sarah could have said the same thing, and others, that the distance created in our own family from our nephews and nieces or kids or grandkids or whatever is far greater. I mean, it's almost hard to talk to them, and this is the gist. They call it the public schools, call it the education. It's the gist of pulling us apart. I mean, that's the whole reason we started talking with Bill, is to talk. And this is a really good. This is probably the heart of talking, is education.
The
Talking
thing
to
that
different people.
makes me optimistic, Carl, is that you tell me that over 40 people have tuned in to what we talked about before. So
It's now about 70, by the way, Bill.
Watch the recording.
It's not just four of us. It's a lot
Right.
more.
I agree.
Well, I heard from
Nicely done.
I heard from an architect student who was with our architects when they were in Mexico, and the student was teaching in Spain, going to school in Spain, and he said, "What? You wrote the book, Teaching from the Middle of the Room?" I said, "Yeah, I wrote that book." Well, my teacher read it, and he said it changed his life as a teacher. So if it's one person, it's at least one person, and that's what this is about. We don't have to be on the national thing with all the stuff, and it'll build up if we keep talking and keep working. I hope you keep going with this and get more people on and so on. And sorry, I don't know your history. When did you graduate from high school?
I'll bet you
75.
do.
I'm with Carl.
Yep.
With Carl.
Yep.
My maiden name was Cutter. So you
Cutter.
probably
Oh,
have,
Don Cutter?
yeah, my
Oh
brother.
my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
She was
All
definitely
right.
a character, and her family was well known for sure.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, thank you. I'm sorry. I meant to ask earlier, but I
Well,
didn't know.
I'm really hoping that my daughter might join in with this conversation. I would love to send her your book. She's a teacher who
Where?
was in Bridgeton, Maine.
Oh,
She was out in Colorado.
I know, man.
We had to pull her out of teaching this year with some health issues.
I'm sorry.
But now she's trying to apply for some, I don't know, she's in another phase and not speaking to me again. She goes through those.
I have the same with my son. Not now, thank God, but I've had it.
Yeah. But she has always, it's interesting, some of the comments you just made. She used to always ask for the autistic kids to be in her class. She does second and third grade.
Oh,
And
great.
she loves working with those kids.
Yeah.
And she's, got a couple masters and she's a reading specialist. So books are just huge to her. And hates the phone and computer thing for kids, but big issue there is she had some real run-ins with the principal who
I think I know about that in my history.
yeah. You might be able to give her some good advice, but
Well, I did well with some and not with others. I got the last job I got in a private school in Massachusetts. I got fired by a head. I mean, my 40th plus year of teaching, and I ended up being a consultant, making 3 times the salary the next year. So it was a winner. And he was an idiot, and he had an actual affair with a lower school head where his wife worked, and he got caught the next September after he gave me a terminal contract. So I had one more year, and all of a sudden I got a better job, and now I'm here in Mexico writing like crazy and missing teaching terribly. And
where in Mexico are you?
San Miguel de Allende. It's in the mountains in the middle of the country. Famous town. Look up San Miguel de Allende.
Very famous. Yeah,
Very
big
famous.
expat, large expat community.
20,000, probably 25,000 expats here, lots of us, and we get along really well. The climate's great. Right now it's about 78 degrees. And
Nice.
the friends are wonderful. The Mexicans are the best people to live with I've ever lived with. And I've lived with Englishmen,
Your
Russians.
house looks lovely.
Oh, it's a great house. You kidding me? It's
Tell them
amazing.
your taxes. Tell them your taxes.
$500 a year to own
Oh,
this
geez.
house. No,
Wow.
Wow.
can't show you much from here,
Wow.
Oh,
but
it's gorgeous.
it's a gorgeous house. Architect designed. We spent all our money, and now we have money, and we live here, and it's astounding. And I'm having great discussions about education with friends here, and it's just I can't beat it.
That's
And I'm
great.
88 years old, and I'm still moving along. So
You're 88 years old.
yep,
He
No
and
way.
I'm a little older than Murph
by not even a year though.
5 days, right? What's your day, Murph? May what?
6.
6 day. I'm April 30th. He's 6 days later.
That's
Yeah.
funny. That is funny.
Yep.
All right, let me close on this. Here's hoping for more run-ins for all of us, but the conversation has to continue because it's vital.
Yeah.
And here's to extract more from you, Frank and Bill, and hopefully others will join as well because this is not a passive thing.
It's a privilege to talk. It really is. It's a real pleasure and privilege.
Carl, one question for you. Are you able to see who's watching the video? Who's watching this on YouTube?
No, I just get the number of views, I've just sort of opened it. And so, it makes sense. Most people are still intimidated by being live unless they get used to it for whatever reason. So to watch it, that's fine. I mean, and I think it will start. I would like to get more people to show up. I mean, but at the same time, I was afraid of having too many people to show up because then it ends up being another issue. So easier to have a conversation with a few people. It's hard to manage a good conversation if there's 20 or 30.
Yeah, it is hard.
So,
And I appreciate you, Carl, being so prepared and reading the book. And I've had a crazy schedule.
Well, I'm honored you're reading the book, so I'm honored.
Was not prepared.
Well,
but
don't you wish everybody that you could interview would have their own autobiography? There you go.
I have another one. I just had a conversation with the Yugoslavian this week, which is incredible, who's a teacher in Kentucky. And I have a book, the same book, stories in that book that you have in your hands, but it's directed to teachers. So I have the same episodes, but I stop in each chapter except once or twice or three times and address the teacher reader. This is why I did this. You may think this was crazy, but blah, blah, blah. So he said he'd take that manuscript and look at it because it's another way of getting at teachers directly, although teachers don't read books enough, but I just still want to do that. So I have the same, I don't have the beginning chapter of my becoming a teacher or the last chapter when I get fired, but I have all the events in between with discussions, and I have the same essay about education, open education failing at the end.
I agree. No, this is more than just autobiography. It's important. I mean, obviously, it was certainly hits me for it, but it needs to be talked about. That's what I like about this. This is an active book, and like your other ones too, Teaching from the Middle of the Room, which I have yet to read, but I think I can read all of them. But I had another one.
The Timothy Snyder, who writes about Ukraine and is one of the smartest men I've met, he has an idea, a very simple idea that I came up with, that we need to bring the past into the present
Yes,
to build a better future.
absolutely.
The past, if you ignore the past, I mean, although I'm a latter half 20th century teacher, I quit in 1999 teaching. I worked with teachers after, but that stuff that I did in that time is worth bringing to people today to be able to take another look at teaching themselves and maybe help them get better at what they do. That's why I write. So.
I'm glad you do. Here's onward and upwards. It's the application of because you have no choice. It's you change the world or you don't. Yeah, that's how I look at
and
it.
we've got a government right now that's trying to wipe out history.
I agree.
Trying to wipe
So
out
that's going to make
So we got to work around that. I mean, it's one way. It's like in that kind of protest, which is certainly justified in my mind. I can waste a lot of energy going there. I'd rather do something constructive, and that's why we're taking this avenue.
Okay.
That's the end of it.
All right. Well,
All right.
my battery is down to 3%.
Okay. See you all. Thank you for being here, one and all.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you,
I
guys.
hope to be on time next week. I'll work on it. I will.
All right. We'll get another. Take care.
Take care.